About 25 years ago, I was doing some extra studies on preaching. And for a pretty significant amount of time, I did a lot of reading and reflecting and writing and even praying on friendship, particularly friendship with God. And you know, St. Thomas in his Summa has a very small little section where he talks about friendship with God. And he mentions three marks, three things that need to be part of that friendship, particularly if the friend is God. And the first one is benevolence, finding the good in the other person. The second one is mutuality, sort of being on the same page, you might say, focusing on the same way of living. And the last one is becoming another self for the other, that this friendship, particularly with God, transforms us. Well, I thought of that reflection 25 years ago in terms of our parable today. As I mentioned last week, we're in the midst of bringing the liturgical year to the end, and our focus is on the end time. The end time when Jesus returns and life as we know it disappears and we enter into eternity, or the end time of us taking our last breath in this life and meeting God face to face. And so all of our readings these 3 weeks focus on that. We heard St. Paul today say, be awake and sober, be alert. But I'm going to focus on the parable, and unfortunately I didn't read the whole parable. And I'm sorry I didn't do that, but it's time always. And you know the parable, the 3 servants, each of them get some talents, 5, 2, and 1. And they all go off, and 2 of them go off and trade. And they make additional. The one who received 5 has now 10. The one who received 2 now has 4. And the 3rd servant goes and buries it in the ground. So when the master returns, 2 of them go and say, here, well, look what we got. And the master says, well done, good and faithful servants. But the 3rd guy says, well, here's your talent back. I was afraid. And so I buried it in the ground. Here it is back. And the master says, you worthless, lazy lout. You could have at least put it in the bank. So he said, take it from him and give it to the one who has 10, and then throw this useless servant outside where there's wailing and grinding of teeth. Our parable today is about that second mark of friendship, mutuality, having God's vision. God wants us to use what He has entrusted us with. And each of us have different things, each according to our own ability. But He wants us to use them, to live them, to make them present. Because in making them present, we make God present. We give life to this world. And the last thing we want to have happen is when Jesus finally returns, or we take our last breath in life, that God faces us and says, send them outside. Close the door, there's wailing and grinding of teeth. Wouldn't we rather hear, well done, good and faithful servant, come share my joy? Your choice. Be awake, be sober, be ready. Blessed are those who fear the Lord. So with great reverence, we place our petitions in God's love.